blues artist.
I'm still not where I want to be, but at least the door is
Back to see the first time I met Muddy Waters, the first time I met BB, the first time I met the Stones, and so on. It's 1,000 things.
Being the blues player, that's the way my life
Aspects
has
of the
been.
blues, which for me is a never-ending source of inspiration.
They call it stormy money. But Tuesday's just as bad. Yeah, they call it stormy money. But Tuesday's just as bad. You know Wednesday's was? Lord, and Thursday's also sad. The eagle flies on Friday, yeah. But Saturday I go out to play. Oh, the eagle flies on Friday. And Saturday I go out to play. The seventh day I rest. Lord, and I kneel down to pray. I cried, Lord, have mercy. Lord, have mercy on me. I cried, Lord, have mercy. Lord, have mercy on me. Hey, you know I'm trying to find my baby. Won't somebody please send her back to me?
I had retired, and it was at the Vine Street Grill in Hollywood, and I was doing a showcase there a few years ago, and this fella didn't want me in there because he didn't know a thing about me. But I asked this fella who was producing me, said that, well, who's there now? He said, Mose Allison. I said, why don't you go ask Mose Allison who Charles Brown is? Mose Allison told him, says, listen, that's where we got all our stuff from. So then he decided to give me a 2 nights in the Vine Street Gorilla showcase. He gave me the worst 2 nights, Tuesday and Wednesday night in Hollywood, where nobody was coming out. But the Los Angeles Times gave me a big write-up, and Leonard Feather and all of them, and they said that this was the legendary Charles Brown. They had long lines between Sunset Boulevard and Hollywood Boulevard. We played that night, and this redhead lady came in with another fella, and when I would sing, she would say, "Oh, Charles, oh," and just, enjoyed it, everything. But I didn't meet her, and when we at intermission, the guy said, "That was Bonnie Raitt sitting out there." The Rhythm and Blues Foundation wanted to give Pioneer Awards to people who never received any kind of royalties. So they had a little program there before we received the awards. A lot of people were there, Lou Rawls and a lot of other people were there. So then after we finished, the television camera came around and they asked me who would take the young people up into the blues, And I said, Robert Cray, and I said that Bonnie Raitt. So when they finished the TV, she said, if I ever get into power, you would be the first one on my show. So then after that, Bonnie Raitt won 4 Grammys. Then they arranged a tour for her. Then they arranged this tour, then they were asking about me, Charles Brown. Her audience, 5 and 10,000 and 20,000 people at that time. They stood up for me, a lot of them. And then Bonnie Raitt said, everywhere we went, she said, Charles, she said, my fans really love you. Ooh. Bonnie Raitt is a wonderful person. Blues are 12 bars. So a ballad singer, it's a style that you have a bridge. Great songs have bridges, 32 bars. But I wasn't singing really blues, I was singing ballads and things. But once the recording company making money off you, a great big hit, they keep you in that mood, bluesy mood. So I don't say that it's a great thing for me, but the colored folks, they say Afro-Americans now, but loved me because I introduced them to sweet love songs where these people from Chicago were playing, I want to kill my baby, so-and-so, and it was just a change of venue. When I did Drifting Blues, 1945-46, it made a great big hit. It's one of the best records of 1946. In my heart, that was my goal to do the love songs.
Baby, I wish I knew why I'm so in love with you. Honey, no one in this world would do. So save your love just for me. Ooh, run away. If I were wise, Charles Brown would run away. Like a fool in love, I stay. Praying.
When I won an amateur contest, I was working at the Broadway department store as elevator operator. And he had heard me that night, and he came there, he said, Charles Brown, are you the one that won the amateur contest? I said, yes. I said, he said, well, I said, do you know Ivy Anderson? I said, I know of her, because she sang with Duke Ellington. I got it bad and that ain't good. I said, I love her. He said, well, that's my wife, and she has a restaurant, she and I. So he had a little blonde piano there with a spotlight. He said, sit down to that piano. And he put the light on. He said, you look good. He said that I don't want to hear anything but semi-classics. We don't want any kind of other songs in here, because he heard me play the classic. So I played June Barcarolle by Bach. And he said, that's what we want to hear. So then he said, if you want to go down to the Musicians Union, if you want to work here, he said, I will put you in the Musicians Union, give you a union card. I will put a tuxedo on you, and all you have to do is smile.
Next on
I'll tell you my first time to play the piano, when my grandmother took me to a music teacher. These little guys would come by and said, sissy, sissy, sissy. I said, Mama, I don't want to play no piano. She said, shut up, little boys. Them little boys be calling you sister, gonna be paying to see you one day. Well, my mother died when I was 6 months old. 1927, my dad came down to spend the Christmas with us in Texas City, Texas. My daddy said, would you come with me and get away from your grandmother, my mother's mother? I said, yes, Dad, I would come with you. He said, don't you tell your grandmother. So in the meantime, I didn't tell her. But after the Christmas, 1927, he came to steal me February 8, 1928, and a train killed him. I can remember that. These two men came up, and the white fellas, and said that I was with my Aunt Dee. And said, I answered the door, and I said, he said, little boy, where's your mama? I said, my Aunt Dee is here. My mama ain't here. He said, well, tell Aunt Dee to come to the front. So she came there and said, what is it? These two white fellas said, do you know a Mose Brown? She said, yes, this is his boy's daddy. He said, well, he was hit by a train, and I think he's in the hospital, and I don't know whether he's dead or alive, but you should go there. John Cedar Hospital, emergency. And I just went to crying and hollering. I said, well, I know a train hit my daddy. He had to be killed. But then they went on over there and whatnot. But now, getting down to the funeral, my grandmother wouldn't let me go to the funeral because she said that it would stunt your growth, But after a time, after my grandmother sent me to college, told me one thing. She said, Charles Brown, she called me Blunt sometime. She said, you better be glad your daddy didn't take you because they were cotton pickers. They went from one farm to the other. They didn't have an education. They picked cotton, picked up potatoes, potatoes still planted, and I mean, this wouldn't be my side of the story. And my grandmother saw to it because a promise on my mother's dying bed that she would take care of me and give me the best that she could. And so that was how I got into this music.
The trustees of the Rhythm and Blues Foundation are honored to present the 1996 Pioneer Award to Johnny Guitar Watson.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Look out! I said, look, look, up in the sky. Come on, look, look. You'll see me flying by. Why don't you just look, look? And if you do, come on and look, look. I'm flying straight to you. They call me Superman Love. Say they call me Superman Lover. Something wrong. Something is wrong with me. See, something wrong. Yes, it is. Check it out. Is it a bird? Is it a plane?
Being known as the Godfather of Funk, I'm flattered. It's, you know, the French people, they started calling me that. They started that, and I feel very good about it, and I kind of sometimes I feel like the Godfather of Funk because I've been funking so long, you know what I'm saying? I used to listen a lot to Gatemouth Brown and T-Bone Walker, and they were my favorites, to be honest with you. T-Bone Walker was just the greatest influence of all. I used to just love the way he performed. I liked the way he looked on stage, and his manner was always just absolutely amazing. He was just an amazing blues artist. He was everything I thought a blues artist should be. I didn't even know whether it was a blues artist or what he was at that time because I was just a kid, but to me, I was a groupie for T-Bone Walker, if you know what I mean. I was playing keyboards in the early days, and I inherited a guitar from my grandfather, who was a spiritualist minister. And when I inherited his guitar, my grandmother told me, don't play any blues on the guitar, and, you know, everything will be all right, you know, and I'll give it to you, but don't, you know. So first thing I did was learn to play some blues. Frank was amazing. I just don't know how to even say what he was, other than a wonderful, very extremely talented person who knew all about all the music. And he was as contemporary as he was traditional, and he was just a marvelous, marvelous musician and composer and writer. And he loved my music, and he said I was one of his inspirations, and when I first met him, he played one of my solos, a thing from 3 Hours Past Midnight, which was old blues. I'm really impressed by a person that is self-contained, that can just write their own music and produce their own music. And it's quite an amazing thing to be able to do it all, you know. So, and Sam was that way, Ray was that way. Ray was just a tremendous musician, and I've always kind of been drawn to contemporary things, and Ray was a multi-talented musician. He played saxophone and keyboards and sing and write, and you know, he liked jazz, and I like jazz as well. You know, I mean, I like a guy like Oscar Peterson and people like this. You know, which a lot of people would be shocked to know, say, Jesus, you like Oscar Peterson, what are you talking about? You know, I mean, how could you like Oscar Peterson? And I used to, well, even today, I'm still learning some of his solos verbatim. I just like to sit down, put the record on and just learn the solos, you know, which is very difficult, very difficult. I have been nominated for a few Grammys. But check this out. The R&B Award is the real deal. There are all kinds of blueses. There are some happy blueses, there are some sad blueses, but it is definitely an emotional outlet because that's where it sprang from. It sprang from problems and from hard times and things of this sort. It's what caused the music to come about in the first place. During the days when black people were really having hard times, this kind of music just was an outlet.
Here's the Superman look.